riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, Courtney to my Kurt, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how are you doing, friend?
I am vaguely uneasy.
What's got you off your rocker?
This song, Garrett, we will be talking about the illustrious Guster's 1998 single Airport song from their awesome, great album, Goldfly.
We're talking about Guster and arguably, according to the research, one of their most famous songs, the Airport song. Tim, do you hate this song?
Not yet.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. I bet I can even imagine why that is, but why don't you tell us?
I don't know that I understand exactly what this song is about. It seems very creepy, but it can't possibly be as creepy as I am imagining it to be, so I'm gonna reserve my judgment.
Very mature decision.
Yes. What about you? Do you hate this?
Yes. I do.
That is also a mature decision.
Why, thank you. I don't think it will require much explanation once we get into the old line-by-line reading, but needless to say, I have a real problem with Guster.
That makes sense.
Before we can talk about the song, though, I'm curious, Tim, is this the first time that your Airport has been songed?
It is not. I have heard it before, probably late 90s, early 2000s. I have not thought about it since. I will say, though, Garrett, I did something special this week. Instead of a costume, you'll notice I'm wearing my normal street clothes, as you call them. I took a series of airplanes around this great country, and I listened to this song exclusively in airports. Now, I will say I did use the corporate card, but I think you'll agree it was a wise decision.
Right now, my instinct is to just slap you into a puddle. But
Please
I'm not
don't.
going to do that. Because if this turns out to be an above average episode, we're talking a 4.7 star episode out of a 4.9 total, then I got no problem with it. That's why the card exists. However, if it's not, if we're talking about a 4.4, 4.5, you get slapped into a puddle.
God damn it. Now, when you say slapped into a puddle, are you slapping me so I land in a puddle, or are you turning me into a puddle with your slaps?
You are softened to the point of just being a doughy...
You're a monster.
You brought it on yourself.
What about you? I take it this is not the first time your Guster has been gold-flied. Gold-flied? Gold-flied.
I'm going to get you one of your pills. Complicated answer. Never heard this song before. Never heard that album before. However, around 2000, or maybe even 2001, I was a terrible human being with awful taste in everything. And I saw a movie called Life as a House, starring Kevin Kline and failed Star Wars actor Hayden Christensen. You familiar with this movie?
I am familiar with those people, if that helps at all.
Close enough. Needless to say, it's a dysfunctional family that finds ways to communicate and work together through the restoration of a very old home. It's terrible. It does feature a number of Guster songs, though curiously you will not find them on the soundtrack. Not sure what that's about. So I did have a couple of Guster songs. I think I had Either Way and What You Wish For on a couple mixed CDs, and that's about it.
So let me ask you this. Is this what they normally sound like?
Kinda. Less Reznor-y. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very drony.
Well, no, there's a lot of droning. The one falsetto high-pitched fellow, he likes a good drone. But the other one with the deeper voice that does the more intimidating lyrics of the song, he doesn't usually sound that threatening.
To be honest, I think both of them have pretty intimidating lyrics.
You know what? I stand corrected. Good catch, Tim. So I have some history with Guster. It's embarrassing. I put these on CDs of my own volition and then sang along to them. No wonder nobody liked me. That's our history, Tim. But before we can get into the song itself and understand the meaning, we have to understand the men behind it. So take us on a brief history. Help us understand, how did Guster come to be?
Guster is composed of Adam Gardner, Ryan Miller, and Brian Rosenworcel, who all met at... I know, it's funny already. We're already at a 4.8 here. They met at Tufts in the early 90s during their freshman wilderness orientation program, a class that you and I both took and remember fondly. Gardner is from New Jersey. He played in a high school band called Royal Flush, and he would go on to be in an a cappella group, Beelzebubs, at Tufts, which was the inspiration for the a cappella group in the movie movie Pitch Perfect, one of Garrett's favorites. And
I don't know what any of the words you're saying mean.
they were also backing vocalists in the TV show Glee. However, Gardner was not a part of any of these things.
Did you know I spent many of my childhood summers wandering the campus of Tufts University in Somerville, Mass?
That makes sense to me.
Yes, my grandfather's home and my favorite sub sandwich in all of America is just a few short blocks away.
Oh, we should make the pilgrimage.
If you do find yourself in the Somerville, Mass area, do go to Angelina's. They've been there for my entire life, and they feature a cheeseburger sub. That's right, you heard me right. My mouth's watering right now, Jesus Christ. And goddamn it, it's delicious.
Now, will I be getting some of this sweet Angelina's money, or is that just for
There's
you?
no money. They just send me the sandwiches.
No, can I have half of one of those sandwiches, or are you going to bite my hand again?
Watch me eat it.
That's not as fun. Ryan Miller, on the other hand, was born in Lubbock, Texas. He was raised in Richardson, Texas, partial home of Ashley and Jessica Simpson, and he had a band called The Silence. At Tufts, he would go on to major in religious studies, as Garrett did, but the religious studies job market at the time really wasn't quite as lucrative as it is today, so he had to fall back into music. I have no information on Brian Rosenworcel.
Made-up person. Didn't one of the members of the Fray ditch the seminary at the last minute to become a successful musician?
That sounds right. Possibly also 21 Pilots or that other garbage band from Las Vegas. I don't know.
Jack White?
That's 100% true.
It is 100% true.
Weird.
That's odd.
After meeting in the summer of 1991, they began playing together at a dorm coffee house. And then after about a year or so, they named themselves Gus. They got their first gig and released their indie debut, Parachute. A different band called Gus got signed to a major label about this time, though, so they actually had to rename themselves Guster. Around this time, they kind of developed into the Dave Matthews Fish widespread panic scene that never ever gets old. They released their second album, Goldfly, independently in 1997.
It's that old, really?
Yeah. Then they signed to Sire Records. They re-released Goldfly and released 1999's Lost and Gone Forever, which was produced by Steve Lillywhite, producer of such things as U2's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb.
Yeah.
He also produced Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, so he's got at least one murder on his hands. A lot of Dave Matthews Fish, Matchbox 20, and some other garbage.
How have we not done that band yet?
I don't know. The same year they performed at Woodstock 99, the good Woodstock, Goodstock as Garrett calls it.
I do.
They put out Keep It Together in 2003, Guster on Ice in 2004, Ganging Up on the Sun in 2006. Then they went on to perform the Bare Naked Ladies Ships and Dips cruise, as well as some fucking John Mayer cruise. They couldn't even get their own cruise, is my point.
The John Mayer suck and fuck cruise. We all know what you're doing, John.
Yeah,
Just
he's
be
using his
honest.
hands, is what he's doing.
His giant hands.
In 2007, they headlined a college campus tour sponsored by Crocs, the shoes Garrett's currently wearing. That
is strictly because I was in the labs earlier.
Right.
Don't make it sound as though this is a fashion
Right,
choice
no,
I make.
listen. You have to have shoes that can go from the lab to the showers in the containment unit between the lab and the outside world.
Yeah, we're messing with some serious things in that lab.
Smallpox.
I think we might have a venom on our hands. I don't want to speak too early, but
Better than what I said.
okay, I may have mischaracterized it. It is smallpox. I've named it venom.
Oh, gotcha. In 2010, they released Easy Wonderful. They released Evermotion in 2015 and Look Alive in 2019. They still play about 250 shows a year, so statistically, somebody is listening to this episode right now at a Guster show.
It's the only way that many shows could be happening.
Right. Be ashamed of yourself, Chad, probably.
Yeah, or Brad.
We might be
go ahead.
accidentally recording this episode at a Guster show. You never know. Look around the room.
We could be
Is Guster
on
here?
our way. Get out of here, Guster.
That's why we keep the broom.
You know who the broom's for.
Yeah, it's for Gino.
Well, yeah, okay. I guess it's for two people. It is for Gino, for jabbing, and it is for the Edge.
But you're probably wondering, Garrett, what else are these guys doing with their time? Surely being a member of Guster and playing 250 shows per year can't take up all of their time, right?
I
You
feel as though
are
it
right.
would.
Good
Okay.
question, Garrett. In 2005, Adam Gardner started a band called the Levies with David Schneider of the Zambonis, a band that only writes songs about hockey. The Levies, however, only write songs about Hanukkah because, and I'm quoting here, there was a dearth of contemporary songs about that particular holiday. They might be right. There might be a dearth of songs about that, but that doesn't mean there needs to be any, right?
I agree.
Okay. They did release Hanukkah Rocks in 2005, featuring songs such as At the Timeshare, Latke Clan, Applesauce versus Sour Cream, and Jewish Girls. Might be great. Ryan Miller, on the other hand, has done quite a bit of film score work, including Safety Not Guaranteed, The Kings of Summer, and Garrett's all-time favorite movie that contains both Paul Rudd and Selena Gomez, The Fundamentals of Caring. He also moved to Vermont, where he hosts a PBS show called Making Friends with Ryan Miller, where he travels around the state talking to what he describes as high-functioning weirdos. So it's possible that I love the guys from Guster.
I'm kind of on board with that guy. I hope he's not the high-pitched one.
No idea. And again, I have no information on Brian Rosenworcel.
Was that just a personal choice, or does he not really exist?
I couldn't find anything, and I didn't look very hard.
Great answer. Fantastic history, Tim. I want to tack on one small piece of information about the band that I learned, and I don't think I understand the sentences I'm about to read. So if you can help me, please do. I learned that Guster once maintained a representative program through which fans received promotional materials for upcoming concerts and albums to sell. Reps were rewarded with a special rep-only series of EPs called the Pasty Tapes, as well as invitations to rep-only concerts. Following the release of Ganging Up on the Sun, the band formed a new program called the Wrecking Machines, through which fans are able to receive posters for advertising nearby concerts. What?
I think the song answers that pretty well. Garrett, this is a cult.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big pyramid scheme. They've conscripted a bunch of their fans into being their unpaid employees, and sometimes they bang them on a farm.
Well, that...
Allegedly.
Okay. There it is. I was like, I don't know if we have evidence to support that. If we do, fantastic.
We do, and it's in the song.
Oh, right. Okay. Then that brings us to the song itself, Tim. Are you ready to talk about this song?
Sure.
Here's a brief taste of Guster's Airport song.
Wasn't that great, Garrett?
Terrifying.
Yes, it was terrifying. This is their second most frequently played song live after a song called Demons, also from Goldfly.
If you say so.
This was produced by a guy named Steve Lindsay, who I don't think we've discussed on the show before. Previous to Guster, he worked with Elton John, Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, Chaka Khan, Ray Charles, The Temptations, The Pointer Sisters, Celine Dion, Leonard Cohen, and he would go on to teach Dr. Dre piano and music theory, and he was the music publicist that first signed Bruno Mars.
Real amateur, huh?
This is his best work.
God damn, that guy has all the money, right?
Yeah, he's got some sort of Scrooge McDuck money pit.
Interesting. I doubt it. At least not filled with coins. You got to fill that thing with, like, bills.
Well, yeah, it's much easier to swim in.
Not just easier, Tim. If you fill a room with, let's say, silver dollars, okay? Mm-hmm. That's just concrete. That's metal.
You'll smash your neck open.
Yeah, you'll just burst like a balloon. Any other weird facts?
Well, there's a tradition at live shows where fans bring in ping pong balls to throw at the stage at the end of the song. I'm sure you heard the ping pong game that happens at the end of the song on the studio version, but the fans recreate that as well.
Yeah, it turns out Guster and their fans have a lot of stupid traditions. Before we get into the lyrics, the music itself, Tim, do you have a problem with it?
I don't, other than to say it is eerie.
It is eerie. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It has sort of a stripped down jam band feel to it.
This one is a little softer. I kind of thought it was like Nick Drake meets Dave Matthews.
Plus pounding drums in the background. Did you watch any videos of them actually playing this song live?
No.
Their drummer is Brian Rosenworcel, I believe his name is.
Pretty sure he is in the witness protection program.
Yeah. He's got like a series of bongos and drums and cymbals, and he's just playing them with his hands and sometimes his forehead. Guy goes nuts
that's his
on
thing.
him.
Well, wait, playing him with his testicles.
I said forehead.
I heard nuts.
No, he goes nuts on them, Garrett.
Oh, okay.
You still don't get it, do you?
No, I don't. That's kind of his thing. He does not seem to use the drumsticks so much and likes a variety of drums. So the music is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I have no issue with it.
No. If you took out the vocals and you told me this was a demo for a Blind Melon song that they had planned for their third album, like a Nico era Blind Melon song, I might believe it.
Sure. I think that's a very fair thing to say. Unfortunately, there are lyrics.
And they're great.
Well, we need to figure that out, Tim. I'm pretty sure I hate this, but we have to pick it apart. And luckily for us and the listener, there's not a lot of lyrics. Unfortunately, what is said is haunting. Glad you made it. Welcome to the farm.
Let me stop you right there. What?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways you could take it.
Yep.
I read it a little sinister. Maybe I can warm it up a little. Let me give you a slightly different reading. Maybe we can turn the ship around before we turn negative on the very first line. Glad you made it. Welcome to the farm.
That makes it so much worse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're doing a deliverance thing.
Let me try this one on for size. Maybe this is less threatening. Glad you made it. Welcome to the farm.
Now see the deepening of the voice on farm. Glad you made it. Welcome to my farm. You could be high.
Yeah, I was about to say, that sounds vaguely like the you could be high guy. Come to my van.
Yeah.
You could be high.
But see, that's the thing. You want to get your drugs from the you can be high guy. You don't want to go to his farm because there's no food. There's just drugs. Like, to survive, you will have to get your calories from eating drugs.
And that means you're going to have to eat a lot of drugs.
Yeah. Fun fact for those listeners watching their weight, drugs don't have much calories in them.
Yeah. Super low calorie diet, especially if they're amphetamines or some other way that can speed up your metabolism on top of the fact that you're only consuming chemicals.
Absolutely.
How do you think the celebrities do it?
Proper diet, exercise, I don't know.
And
amphetamines, yeah. Glad you made it. Welcome to the farm. Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy now. Any chance that this wasn't sinister is gone.
Let's keep it in context, Tim. Keep going.
Well, just from this part, I'm picturing some sort of Toby Daddy thing where he outgrew his rooms, and so now he has a farm in which he hunts people, and he hunts them with his wiener, Garrett.
And an axe.
Glad you made it. Welcome to the farm. Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy now. I'm here seeking only what I need. In your mind is where I'll plant my seed.
It's a cult.
Yeah, it's a cult,
This is cult
or
rock.
again, possibly Toby Daddy.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. It could be his semen.
Oh, God. No.
Why is he planting his semen in your mind?
No, Garrett, he's indoctrinating them, but Toby Daddy does that too, and it's not a cult. It's just about his own sexual gratification.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to follow him or
Allegedly.
even like it.
Yeah, just got to do it.
But again, though, he says in your mind is where I'll plant my seed. How's that semen getting in their brain?
I think it's maybe a metaphor.
For semen?
No, God damn it. Not for semen.
Agree to disagree.
But yes, I'm getting very strong cult vibes from it at this point.
All right, well, let's continue. Maybe it gets better. Let me keep you in this place. You'll be better off this way. I will keep you warm and safe. You could be high. Now, to be fair, it does not say you could be high.
No.
It does say all those other things.
Yes, and to be clear, they can't be high. The leader gets to be high if he wants, but those people, stone cold sober.
Well, if you're eating only drugs for sustenance, it won't take long before you're just not getting high anymore.
That's true.
But let me reread it not as the get into my van guy. Let me keep you in this place. You'll be better off this way. I will keep you warm and safe. You'll be better off this way. You learn to love the price you pay. Ooh, let me stop because we're going to have to get into that in more detail. So he wants to keep someone in this place, the farm, assuring them they'll be better off this way, warm and safe. Are we sticking with cult? It seems almost like the words of a kidnapper.
Yes, it does. So now we're between cult, kidnapper, Toby Daddy. I don't know which is the worst of those three.
I don't know. God, I hate that Toby Keith is in the mix.
Everyone always does, Garrett.
Let's see. So kidnapping, cult, Toby Keith. I mean, this is one of these situations where sure, could every word of this be about Toby Keith? Of course it could, allegedly. But is it?
Probably
did
not.
Guster know?
If only because he probably wasn't popular enough for him to be on their radar, or they probably hadn't heard our show in 1997, so they may not have known about his proclivities.
True. Also, in 1997, we didn't have a show. Well, we weren't releasing the recordings. In 1997, Toby Keith did not yet own his farm, probably.
No, he was still in rooms.
Yeah. Hell, those rooms might have even still been within his same house, as opposed to that
complex with the bar.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He did have a bit of a setup there. Okay, so let's continue on. After he promises to keep you warm and safe in his cult or under his house, he says, you learn to love the price you pay. Trust me, dear, you're better off this way. You learn to love the price you pay.
Absolutely, Garrett. At first, they were being punished on the farm, and at some point, they realized that they did, in fact, deserve their punishment, and so they accepted it willingly.
And they just ate it up. Yum, yum, yum. So,
Jesus Christ. This is a horrifying song.
There's not a lot of ways to read it, Tim. I'm trying. But yeah, it seems as though they suckled at the teat of violence until they only came to know it as their only form of attention. So, yes,
suckling
obviously.
at the teat of violence. The Why I Hate This Album podcast.
Somebody draw a violence cow and Tim's suckling at its teat.
No, maybe.
Drew? Continuing on, put to bed the sun and sister moon.
Right there, it sounds culty again.
Absolutely. And then he says, I'll be hiding in your dirty room. This is where I present yet another theory, arguably the least offensive one. What if this entire song is not about somebody being brought to a farm as a cult member or kidnap victim, but this could be a man singing to the mother of his children after she's put to bed sun and sister moon. Maybe that's what they call their children. They're creepy hippies living on a farm. He's trying to say, stay with me. Help me raise these children. I'll keep you safe. I'll keep you warm. You'll love to learn the price you pay of the responsibility of parenthood.
In my notes here, I have written, what if it's about parenting?
Are you joking?
No, right there. Or being a step-parent. I think that might be the worst of all scenarios, though.
Oh, come on, Tim.
Because there's a lot of seeds being planted in heads, and as you mentioned earlier, that can only mean the one thing. No metaphor there. Yeah, I honestly think if it's about parenting, this is the worst possible interpretation. Because let me continue this verse. I'll be hiding in your dirty room. I'll go there seeking only what I need. La-ti-da will stay there till we bleed. Don't want that to be apparent, Garrett. I'd rather it be a cult leader. Hell, I'd rather it be Toby Keith.
Easy.
Than your parent? I can't get away from Toby Keith, but one could theoretically escape Toby Keith's clutches. Much harder to do that with a legal guardian.
I suppose. Yeah, he couldn't make a public appeal to return you to his farm. That's fair. The song continues, I will not wake you from your sleep, leave you wandering counting sheep. No more sad and sunshine days. Trust me, dear, you're better off this way. Is that murder? No more sad and sunshine days. Is he saying, if you're not going to stay with me, you're not going anywhere?
Ugh. Maybe it's about a parent that has become involved in a cult.
Yeah, maybe it's about David Miscavige, and this is his wife who's threatening to leave.
Garrett and I are super on board with Scientology. We are both adherents, if not full-fledged members. Please don't sue us or infiltrate our organization. We already have enough terrible employees that may or may not be working actively against us.
Jim, I don't know how it happened, but the Why I Hate This Album podcast was briefly embroiled in this recent Ukraine dust-up.
Oh, so I went to Ukraine on behalf of a guy.
Was that guy Rudy Giuliani?
Well, let's not name names. We'll just call him Horse Teeth. And I did a thing. I offered a guy some money. It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm going to jail.
Yeah, sounds like.
So he says, leave you wandering counting sheep. No more sad and sunshine days. Trust me, dear, you're better off this way. You'll be selling books at the airport. And that one line is, of course, why the song is named Airport Song. I don't understand it. Exactly why it's named.
I think it's a threat. You want to leave me and these children? You'll just wind up selling books at the airport.
Possibly. I read it as the cult guys selling garbage at the airport, or like the Hare Krishnas raising
literature.
Yeah, raising money for Cult Daddy. And for those of you listening saying, wait a minute, guys, the Hare Krishnas aren't a cult. That's ignorant. We expect you to be more woke than this. All religions are cults, people, except Christianity.
And Scientology.
And Scientology, yes. Legally, Scientology is not a cult. They have tax-exempt status. That means their God is real.
Yep, and that means you do not need to send private investigators to our headquarters to intimidate us. We don't need that.
We're already intimidated.
So intimidated. That's why we love LRH. Was that enough? You think that was enough? They'll leave us alone now?
I think so, yeah, for now at least.
Oh, thank God.
Maybe the I will not wake you from your sleep, leave you wandering counting sheep. That could be the mass suicide of the cult.
Could be.
If it is about a cult, is it pro-cult?
Yes, I think so. Because it's from the perspective of the cult leader. He is welcoming you to the farm.
Okay. Maybe not the band, but at least the protagonist of this song, the character that they're singing about, is pro-cult.
Yeah, and let's not rule out the possibility, Tim, that this is a cautionary tale from Guster. Perhaps one of them was almost lured into a cult.
Perhaps it's a cautionary tale to future fans. Don't get too involved with Guster, or you'll be brainwashed into bringing ping pong balls to their concerts and yelling dumb bullshit like an asshole.
Or you just wake up in a farm with your head shaved.
I've done that before. Let's take for a minute that this is about some sort of Toby Daddy situation, right? They've done what Toby Daddy could only dream of. Instead of a series of rooms, instead of a bar with a brothel next door, they have an entire sex play farm, brainwashing people to think that their Toby Daddy sex games are what participants are into. It would kind of make sense. As we learned in the American Werewolf in Paris episode, the ultimate goal of any daddy is to replace somebody's actual daddy or somebody's previous daddy, their daddy prime, as the new daddy. And this song begins with, "Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy." Now, it does sound like they are attempting to replace the daddy.
It does begin with a daddy declaration.
As all good songs should.
Maybe the "You'll be selling books at the airport" is a reference to the tragic end of either the cult or him killing her for refusing to stay and raise the children with him, and he's going to write a tawdry tale about it. You know, just garbage that they sell at the airport.
Yeah, well, I love a good airport novel, Garrett.
I know you do. It's one of my least favorite traits about you.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new John Grisham? No.
The president is missing, Garrett, and Bill Clinton wrote it. Partially. Maybe.
He'd know how it would go down.
Yeah. Perhaps he was once missing, and we just didn't hear about it.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell you.
Okay, so our theories here, this could be about a cult, it could be about a kidnapping, it could be about parenting, or step-parenting, perhaps.
I'm going to rule out Toby, Keith. It could be a Toby-like scenario, because these are adults, right? It's more of a Manson situation.
Yes.
Well, it's not like a farm of children.
No, he's got people that should be able to have the mental faculties to leave, but he has convinced them to stay through threats and violence.
All right, maybe it is Toby,
punishment.
Keith. God, I'm weirdly leaning towards parenting now.
If it's parenting, I definitely hate this song.
Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy now. I think it might be about like Keith's or Brian's.
What?
Stepdads.
Oh, yeah. But that gets far worse because there's all this weird indoctrination talk. There's
you gotta
hiding.
teach them to hate what you hate.
Here's the thing. If anyone out there is a step parent, don't hide in your kid's room. It's creepy. That's not a thing to do.
I think he was talking to the wife at that point.
Oh.
I'll be hiding in your dirty room.
Well, then that means vagina, right?
No.
Oh. Well, then you know what?
Don't call a woman's vagina her dirty room.
Jesus Christ. I won't.
Okay.
You know
I'm sure
thinking
you won't.
it.
God damn you. Get you to a camp or something.
Not this camp.
Well, we're going to send you to the farm, too. Sending you
want
off to Guster Farms.
Ooh, Guster Farms. They have great apples.
What?
This is their plug. Give me money, Guster.
I don't think you know how commercials work. What else needs to be said about this nightmare machine?
So we're down to kidnapper, parenting, cult.
Yeah, those
None
are
of
the
them
three
are
I
good.
feel strongest about.
None of them are good.
What was the state of daddy culture in 1997? Because daddy is typically reserved for a romantic relationship, as we've learned from the research.
Yeah, or a parent to a young child.
Sure.
Seamless transition there.
It's a weird Venn diagram.
Let's move on to the non-existent video.
Yes, I was curious if you wanted to talk about whatever this is.
Yeah, so there is no official music video for this. You can watch him perform it at Woodstock 99. Again, the good Woodstock. But there is an unofficial video.
Which is troubling.
Yes. Do you want to run through it? Basically, it's a father and two kids that go to a farm for the day.
Boy, you are already reading a lot into this. I did not get the vibe that it was a father and two kids. It is a man with some boys he's collected.
I was hoping it was a father.
I don't think so. I think he is their new daddy.
Oh,
But
God.
the parent-child relationship daddy, not the sex slave daddy.
All right.
There's a huge difference.
Carry on.
So throughout the entire music video, one boy is treated like a prince and the other boy is treated like garbage.
Right.
So one boy, for instance, is given a machete and is forced to clear brush.
See,
as
I
best
thought
can
that's
put
the
it.
prince behavior. Where I grew up, Garrett, princes carried machetes.
Those were swords. They have a special name, and you know it.
Sometimes they were actual machetes, Garrett. They would just hack and hack.
Oh, God. Yeah. Anyway, those of us who didn't grow up in the house of Saud, if you were handed a rusty machete and pointed at some tall grass, it was typically viewed as a punishment. However, the other boy gets to play on a tire swing like some sort of goddamn Samuel Clemens novel. While the other boy continues to do chores, he hangs out with his new daddy, and they play catch, they ride on the mower together, and Chore Boy becomes addicted to spinning on a tire swing for some reason.
Well,
did you notice that? He starts trying to cope with his problems by like hitting that tire. He winds it up and he gets nice and disoriented for a few minutes.
It was fun. I remember doing this.
I do too, but I think it's an early indication of substance abuse.
Oh, well, that actually makes sense.
To take away the pain. Yeah. So after he gets done hitting that tire a couple of times, he tries to read a book in the shade, which is spoiled when fucking Daddy's boy comes in and attacks him with a bunch of ping pong balls. And so, of course, Chore Boy runs away and is tackled by Daddy's boy. And so this is where Chore Boy can't take it anymore. He's done with his chores. He's done with this harassment by Daddy's boy, and he runs into a cornfield.
Where he maybe gets lost?
He does get lost, Tim. I believe that he is then raised by the corn.
Or at least a family of crows.
That wouldn't be so bad. Every day we're learning.
You know, it is a horrific look into your childhood that you believe being raised by crows, quote unquote, wouldn't be so bad. You fucking sad sack of shit. I'm sorry, that got mean at the end.
It did. Very personal. The crow is proving to be smarter and smarter every year.
That is true. I predict that within the decade, they will be the dominant species on the planet.
Within the decade.
Have any of my crow-related predictions ever not come true?
No.
All right.
Anyway, so this young man does get, in fact, lost in a giant field of corn. As the camera slowly pans out, you realize he's in the largest field of corn that's ever existed, and this is why he is raised by corn or possibly crows.
Yeah.
It's not a real music video. It's appropriate for the words in this song.
Yes.
And I wish I had not seen it. I recommend everyone go watch it.
The reason we're talking about it here is that we both watched it several times believing it to be the official music video because we didn't read the description in the video.
Who has the time?
Right.
How did this thing do?
Well, this peaked at number 35 on the Billboard Modern Rock chart, and I have no information about how it did other than that in the US or the Dutch.
Great research. What did people think of it?
Well, Garrett, we don't have a Robert Christgau review, and for the first time in show history, there are exactly 0 Amazon reviews for this song. So I turned to YouTube. There's not much there either. No one cares about your song, Guster.
This is their second most popular live song.
People love this song, but not enough to write about it on the internet.
Who is this for?
This is for cult meeting attendees, cult leaders, probably you. You seem to be super into cults and starting cults. I think it's probably for people that like the Toadies catalog, especially the real creepy Toadies songs, and don't mind a slight dip in quality.
Disagree on that last point.
Giant dip in quality?
Yeah, okay, maybe. Is there anything else that you want to say about the song before I ask that all too important question?
I don't think so.
Me either. So, Tim, do you hate this song?
I'm right on the edge. You know, I hate it. I will never listen to this again, except for maybe when I'm in airports, just to remember the good old times of this week. It's just not a very good song. It's not a bad song, but it's just not particularly interesting, and the parts that are interesting might be about murder sex or sex murder. I forget which order it's going to go in.
Farm sex.
Farm sex, yes. So sex murder.
Yes.
What about you? Did you hate this?
No.
Whoa.
I've turned around on it.
You switched. You're super into farm sex.
That's not what I said. God damn it. I hate you.
So this is a show first. We have switched positions.
Yes, I would say that we switched positions mid-show.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. Is it a first?
I think so.
No
We've
way.
gotten each other there, but we've never gotten each other there in reverse directions before. And I was trying to keep you there.
I'm super uncomfortable. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Don't get me anymore.
Okay. But
Yeah,
I
we
did
switched
get you
positions.
there, is my point. And you got me there.
Well, I got you there in reverse. No, I got myself back. I got you there, and then I got back.
Okay, so this
From
was all
there.
you. You did all the legwork on this one, is what you're saying.
I'm the one sweating.
You are sweating. Cannot argue with that.
All right. You hate it. I don't. You're cynical, sad old man. I'm youthful and of this generation.
You're of the generation that was youthful in 1997. I will grant you that.
That's not what I was saying. But that brings us to listener mail, Tim. That's where you and I each pick a piece of correspondence and read it here on the show. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to?
I can go first this week.
All right.
I have an odd daddy update from Nolan, one of the monsters that has been sending us terrifying drawings of the two of us. See our Instagram at hatepod for some of the less pornographic examples samples. And I think that's appropriate because this is a daddy-centric song.
Great pick, Tim.
So Nolan writes, so I was eating lunch with a bunch of my friends at some restaurant, and me and Drew were sitting next to each other. I look over at him, grab his hand, and I look him dead in the eyes. And for those of you keeping score, Drew is one of the other artists who keeps sending us the most disturbing images that these two can dream up. So Nolan says, Drew, I have something very important to tell you. And he says this with complete seriousness and no hint of joking. Drew looks at Nolan and says, what? And he says, I got so close to his face that I can smell his rancid breath. It smelled like the breeze. Sorry.
So insulting.
It gets worse.
Rancid.
It smelled like the breeze off of a landfill. I stared him in the eyes and moan as loud as I can, Daddy. I assume that's how he said it.
Good Lord.
Now at this point, we're just looking at each other in the eyes, awkwardly staring at each other. Then my friend Cornboy yelled, y'all gonna kiss? I don't know who Cornboy is. He has not sent us any pictures. This is especially awkward because we are both bisexual and there have been rumors of us dating for years now. I slap Drew in the face and we go about eating lunch as usual. Oh, and just to maintain our show's woke cred, I did in fact ask if it was okay to read this story and not out them both as being bisexual, although I only asked Nolan, so there's a chance that Drew is very angry right now.
We did not use last names. That could be anyone named Drew that's friends with Nolan.
Yes, and sends us pictures and has rancid landfill breath.
Yeah. Nolan, get a toothbrush.
Drew's the one that needs a toothbrush.
I wasn't listening. My email, Tim, is also a daddy update. This being the week of daddies, it seemed appropriate. God, is this official daddy week here on the show? I think every week is. This email is from Ben. Ben titles the email, Daddy Incident / Field Report, New / Mutant Daddy Iteration.
I'm in.
It reads like a scientific report or possible outbreak notice. Location, Walmart Supercenter, 5226 Sigmund Road, Wilmington, North Carolina, store 1392. Date, Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. Time, 1925 hours Eastern Time Zone. The email begins. This was all just background information provided before we got to the message body.
That's weird, but okay.
The whole thing is very strange. I love it. Ben, great work. Subject description. Daddy is a white male, approximately 5'7" tall, weight around 50 kilograms, late 20 to early 30s. Apparel is a late 20th century red generic baseball style hat, white wife beater style tank top, pant short hybrids reaching the mid shin area, white socks, basketball shoes, no name brands. Several tattoos, including indistinguishable amorphous blob on left side of neck and either barbed wire or chain around half of right bicep. Field note, short range time traveler ? Additional subjects. Daddy is accompanied by older female. Field note, escorted ? Chaperone ? Unclear. Subject is white, approximately 5'10", weight around 70 kilograms, age unclear. Potentially accelerated by drug use, best estimated mid-40s. Apparel is nondescript jeans, black flip-flops, oversized Korn t-shirt from 1995 concert in Jacksonville, due to wear on the shirt, unclear if Florida or North Carolina. Field note, fellow time traveler ? Research needed on durability of mid-90s tour t-shirts. Incident description. Subject Daddy appears to follow female subject, demeanor and posture subservient. Eye contact is minimal. Subject Daddy is repeatedly identified as Daddy by female subject. Subject female insists that Subject Daddy provide payment for goods. Come on, Daddy, buy me these shoes. Subject Daddy initially appears to resist, then yields, responding by identifying female subject as Mama. Yeah. Field note / cross-reference. Mama culture ? Related to distinct from mommy culture ? Further study recommended. Additional notes. Recommend cross-analysis with other subcultures, possible Oedipus Electra complex. Further recommended cross-reference with materials on initiation into daddy culture. Other possible incidents of involuntary daddies ? Daddy trafficking ? Cross-reference with potential time travel scenarios. Possible outbreak of daddy mama culture in mid-1990s. Contact Florida authorities. Further contact ACLU, CDC, NSA ? And that is the entirety of that email.
Ben, that's delightful. I don't know why you took the time to write that, but thank you. Feel free to write us other weird nonsense. It's very
Excellent
funny.
work, Ben. We will put this in the files. It is reminiscent of some of the emails Tim and I used to send to one another.
You used to make dossiers for our trips that listed me as emergency food. Also, we used to go on trips together.
Yep, were fun times. But yes, and that wasn't a joke. It just didn't come to that.
I would have made good eating.
At the time, sure.
Now I'm all sinewy.
Right. So that brings us to music news of the weird, Tim. Now, I think this is a very special week. We we may want to tag team the news. Rather than me reading all of my stories, then you reading all of yours, let's tag team in a little bit. We'll bounce it back and forth. I'll kick things off. Did you hear the news about Motley Crue?
I did.
They have confirmed their plans to reunite for a tour, having previously fueled rumors by sharing a petition for them to do so on Twitter, which they then later deleted. The band has not performed together since December 31st, 2015, the last day of their farewell tour. They signed a cessation of touring agreement prior to embarking on the quote-unquote final tour, which prohibits any member from performing in the future using the Motley Crue band. This is, of course, a nonsense document that meant nothing.
Sure. It's like whenever you told me I couldn't use the Why I Hate This album name to promote myself or my various brands.
No, that was a legally binding document.
Then I am in some financial trouble.
Yes, you are in breach of the law again. In any event, Tim, recently the band shared a video of them doing away with that fake agreement by literally blowing it up and setting it on fire. They are expected to tour with Def Leppard and Poison in 2020. Def Leppard, confusingly, one of the most profitable touring bands in the country.
That makes sense. I can see that.
I gotten it started, Tim. Let me turn it over to you. What do you got?
In what the fuck is wrong with T.I. news, Garrett? And I'm going to warn you ahead of time, this is a rough story. Feel free to fast forward because it gets gross. T.I. is a disgusting monster. Rapist T.I. recently announced on the podcast Ladies Like Us, for very little reason it seems, that he forces his daughter to undergo what he calls quote-unquote virginity checks annually. According to Mr. I, we have yearly trips to the gynecology to, and again, I apologize for this, check her hymen. Yes, I go with her, because he is a disgusting monster who should be jailed for such behavior. Also, I have no idea why a doctor would go along with this, and I really hope that the doctor just lies to T, but either way, he should be investigated as well. For the record, if you're a physician listening to this, as I think most of our audience is, if a parent asks you for such a service, at the very least refuse, but you should go way further than that.
That is deeply troubling. Here's what I think's happening, and I think we're a little behind the times, so most people have probably heard this story, but it wouldn't be this show if we didn't talk about T.I.'s daughter's hymen.
Ugh, I hate your running bits, Garrett.
What I suspect is happening is that he is taking his daughter to her annual gynecological visit because she is a woman now, and that he did not understand what is happening, so they just tell her that's what they're doing.
I hope that's the case.
I mean, this happened a couple weeks ago, and T.I.'s daughter has not been taken from him, so it almost certainly has to be.
Well, she's, I believe she's 18. I don't think she can be taken from him.
Oh, well then she should just stop going with him.
And also possibly set him on fire.
Yes. Okay, Tim, let me bounce it back to me now for the next story, which I think is going to start just a cascade of news about one individual, one special man that is near and dear to this show and our hearts for sure, and that man, Mr. Kanye West. Kicking things off in the Kanye West segment of Music News of the Weird, he has posted an invite, Tim, to his new opera, Nebuchadnezzar. The show will be directed by many-time Kanye collaborator and performance artist Vanessa Beecroft, the music by Yeezy's Sunday Service Collective, Peter Collins, and Infinity's Song. For you lucky folks living in Los Angeles, Nebuchadnezzar premieres at the Hollywood Bowl on November 24th. I have no idea how this opera is going to relate to the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar.
It's not. Kanye is Nebuchadnezzar and God. He's all the characters.
He is all the characters, because he's a genius, Tim.
That's true.
I don't want to steal all the Kanye news, Tim, so why don't you pick it up from there? What other Kanye news do you have for us this week?
K-Way recently made a visit to Houston, where he attempted to Johnny Cash by performing 2 secret prison shows, one for men, one for women, but he only played songs off of Jesus is King because he is a dick who hates our, we'll call them freedomly impaired Americans.
Well put.
What do you have on K-Way, Garrett?
In other Kanye West news, Tim, he just bought yet another parcel of land totaling $14.5 million, just a mere 80 miles from the other multi-million-dollar piece of Wyoming ranch land that he has recently purchased. I mean, I don't want to be too forward here, but is this a daddy in the making? Is he putting together his farm?
Yes.
There was not a moment of hesitation there, Tim. No. It is clear. We've been calling this shot for months now. Kanye West is starting a cult.
Yes, he's going to begin putting seeds in brains, Garrett. They said that wrong. I apologize. That might have seemed weird. He is going to begin placing his seed in brains.
That is better.
After his Houston prison show, he went by a guy that is near and dear to this show's heart, of course, Joel Osteen, mega church pastor in Houston, and he went to preach to 16,000 people, including the the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, for a Sunday morning because if anyone understands the scam of the prosperity gospel, it is in fact K-Way. At this, he was quoted as saying, "Jesus has won the victory now. I told you about my arrogance and cockiness already. Now, the greatest artist that God has ever created is working for him. All of the arrogance and confidence and cockiness that y'all seen me use before, God is now using it for him. Because every time I stand up, I feel that I'm standing up and drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm here in service to God, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper." Garrett, he's going to plant some seeds.
Oh, yeah. He's getting geared up.
Osteen was then quoted as saying, "You said more in 60 seconds than I say in my 30-minute message." And it turns out that that's not actually correct, Garrett. They said the exact amount of things, as neither of them are saying anything of value.
My God. So this is interesting, Tim. I think that is a fascinating turn of events. You and I have been warning the world that Kanye West is starting a cult for weeks now, possibly years. It's tough to say. But what I didn't see coming, maybe you did, he seemed too arrogant to be willing to share his cult with any other sect, i.e. in this case, Christianity. But in a shrewd move that circumvents the need to build an initial base, he has hitched his wagon onto Christianity and, most importantly, televangelism, the worst version of Christianity.
It's not the best.
Fair enough. The best is, of course, 1, 2, 3, Catholicism.
Yes. Nah, those people are monsters. Not all of them, just their church leaders.
Any other Kanye West news?
I do.
Damn it, really?
He went back later that night to Joel Osteen's church, where he discussed involuntary commitment at a mental institution in 2006, saying, "God was there with me, sending me visions and inspiring me." And then he discussed a time he drew a picture of a church in said mental institution, as well as planning to start a church while in a mental institution. Also, he performed a bit of his new album, as well as some Destiny's Child and Stevie Wonder covers. And he was also heard joking about changing his name to Christian genius billionaire Kanye West. And again, by joking, I mean that he is pretty pissed off.
Filing the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. He is pissed off that Forbes didn't list him as a billionaire, so he will almost certainly be known in the future as Christian genius billionaire Kanye West.
Is he trolling?
I don't think so. This might have been some free publicity for a new album, but everyone was just like, yeah, I'm on board with this. And so now he's going to start a farm and he's going to bring a bunch of people out there. He's going to make love to all those people. He's going to keep them hopped up on drugs, as that will be the only thing to eat at the farm. He's going to hide in some dirty rooms. It's going to be horrible, Garrett. And one day you and I will be forced to live there as well, because the whole world will be subsumed in K-Wayness.
That'll be a fun revolution to start.
Yep.
Because I won't feel bad about murdering any of those people.
Allegedly.
Of course. We're talking about 2041 here.
Oh, this is only, 58 years from Tim Bortley's rise?
Yeah.
I guess technically the Machine's rise.
Well, the Machine's rise probably but was it 2099 or 2999?
I think it could happen by 2099.
I mean, if they get their act together.
Yeah.
I just feel like ultimately a machine uprising would be brought down when, I don't care how good your computer is, eventually somebody's got to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yep. Just don't turn it back on. Problem solved.
Exactly. Take that, Rise of the Machines. Good work, John Connor. We didn't need all that bullshit. Just turn them off. Any other Kanye West news, Tim?
No.
Thank God. Moving on to another friend of the show, Mr. Takashi 69. Big 69 news this week, Tim. His girlfriend, Jade, shared a photo of herself holding the rapper's hand. She captioned the shot with 31 days with a heart emoji, suggesting that she believes he will be out within the month and living with us in our home.
Interesting. I guess we'll have to start putting together that third couch bed.
Well, I don't want to be presumptuous. Here's what we do. We put it together. We put it in the other guest room. We give him the choice. If he wants to set up that couch bed in the living room, dining room, kitchen area, the more the merrier. And honestly, I'd love a buffer between us.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's my suggestion. Let's set it up in the living room, kitchen, dining room area. And if he would like to move it, we'll give him that option. So it'll be up to him. But if he wants to leave us, he's got to put a little legwork into it.
I guess, but I don't want him there if he doesn't want to be there.
I feel like he doesn't have a problem speaking his mind. If he doesn't want to be there, he'll move that bed.
That's fair. Or, you know what? We just don't tell him about the guest rooms and he just deals with it. Yeah. We're hiding him from the fucking Trey 9 Bloods or some shit. shit.
Oh, God. You're going to kill us, Garrett.
We are taking on some risk here.
We're doing a good thing.
We are. You're welcome. 6ix9ine, we'll wash the sheets. In other news, Tim, Sidney George Wilson, better known as the mask-wearing turntablist for heavy metal band Slipknot, will be releasing the second of his trilogy of albums, Sexcapades of the Hopeless Robotic, Volume 2, on December 13th. Do you know what that sentence means?
I assume that before the world goes full machine and Tim Bortley is called in, there's going to be some robot sex? I don't know.
Sexcapades of the Hopeless Robotic. Well, I assume, Tim, if you and I plan on living to, at a minimum, 2099, we're going to have to start replacing some of our organic material with robot pieces.
I was 90% sure you're going to say we're going to have to start replacing our ladies with robots. I'm glad you didn't.
No, that will come.
Oh, so you did.
I mean, just now I did, sure.
Yeah.
Any other news for you?
In the rapid downfall of Moby news, Moby has decided his vegan for life neck tattoo was not quite enough, so he has tattooed animal rights in giant letters on his arms because he desperately wants to be relevant.
Tim, I feel terrible. I feel fucking terrible. This has been a 2-year spiral.
Yeah.
Ever since that incident at his house. And listen, he knows that our team scours the news sites every single day looking for weird music news. We get it, Moby. What have we said, Tim? 100 times if we've said it once. Reach out. Just give us a call. You don't have to do these things. We know you're hurting. Tim, is this our fault? Did we do this?
I think we have in some way pushed him to this, but I would like to just speak directly to Moby now, if I may. Moby, if you get a sheep tattooed on your back, Francis Dollarhide style, I will give up eating meat for a full year. But you got to send us that picture.
Wow.
Yep, full year. Francis Dollarhide yourself, Moby. Do it. Get
Is
the
it
tattoo.
a sinister sheep?
I would assume.
This is a very strange request and no way to make friends with Moby again.
I'm already friends with Moby. I think it's you he doesn't like.
Stop blaming me for all of our friends leaving us.
It might be the way we live, Garrett. It
is unappealing.
It has bred a smell. The last piece of news. This is on a personal cowboy-related note. I know everyone has been following the saga of me getting my full cowboy hood and then finding out some things about the organization. Finding out that, I mean, as Garrett apparently has been saying for a while, that it is a quote-unquote sex cult. But I would like to announce that I have reconsidered, Garrett. I'm going to stay in the cowboy organization as a full member.
Interesting.
I'm in. And here's the thing. It is not technically a cowboy sex cult. Rather, it is a cowboy cult as well as a sex club. The two are different. They are separate but equal components, really. And I plan on participating in both aspects, sure. But the primary reason for me staying in is to be a cowboy. Besides, Garrett, the cowboys, they need good soldiers to keep our country safe from samurai and pirates and the English and daddies. These people are everywhere. And if not for cowboys, then who?
I don't think these people are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
This is the first time I've ever been a little concerned to share space with you.
Don't be, Garrett. I'm a cowboy. I can protect you.
Okay. Who's going to protect us from the protectors?
It's a good question.
I'm getting a gun.
I've got several. They're all 6-shooters and they're from 1859, but
and take a bit of time to load.
That's right.
If you just stand still for another 10 to 12 minutes, you're going to get quite the shot. Don't move. Don't even move a little. I cannot aim with this.
It is very difficult, Garrett. Those bullets do not necessarily go where you're pointing it.
Fantastic news, Tim. It is turning into Kanye news of the weird, or possibly music news of the Kanye, or possibly weird Kanye news music.
Do you want to take a fourth stab?
I don't think I can.
All right.
In any event, that does bring us to the part of the show where we announce what album we will be listening to for an entire week straight before we come back and do this whole goddamn thing over again. So, Tim, I asked, what album are we listening to next week?
Next week, we will be talking about Hollywood Undead's rap rock album, Swan Songs, released September 2nd, 2008. And this has been one of our most suggested albums.
Boy, Tim, I don't know jack fucking shit about this. Do you?
Nope. All I know is that it is rap rock. I can almost guarantee you I'm going to hate it, though.
I cannot confirm this, so you can save the tweets. I think there might be some masks in play.
Ooh.
Like a Slipknot rap rock.
I like a good slap rock.
Oh, that reminds me.
Nope.
How do you think this episode's been?
4.9 at least.
You know what? I'm going to leave it to the listener. Listeners, let us know. Should I just slap the ever-living piss out of Tim?
Please. It hurts so badly.
No, the trick is to use the heel of the palm.
the trick is to use a closed fist.
Yeah, if you use a closed fist slap, you can, I don't know why people don't. I also like to hold a roll of nickels.
Jesus Christ. Please, write in. Tell Garrett not to slap me. That's going to break my jaw.
Tim, we're not going to pander. If you didn't think this was a 4.8 at least, let us know. And I'll slap Tim till he learns to be funnier.
I'm so sorry.
I'll slap you till you laugh.
Done.
As always, please rate, review, and subscribe. But most importantly, the two things you can do for this show, all we ask is if you can give us a rating, throw the 5 stars up there, and then throw something ridiculous in the review itself. We read them all the time. It's one of the few joys we have in our lives. The other thing you can do, if you like the show, just tell someone. Tell them to listen. We just want more people to listen so that we can grow the show and bring you better and better episodes. That's the two biggest things. You can also reach out to us by going to hatepod.com and clicking on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. Ask for an email. It's just so we can email you back. You can also get every episode we've ever done on hatepod.com/episodes in every format through every service except Pandora. They have not gotten back to us yet. Other than that, you can also just reach out to us at hatePodMail@gmail.com or hatepod on Instagram or album hatepod on Twitter. You can also go to facebook.com/hatepod, though that is a murky quagmire of nonsense, so we may or may not get back to you. We're also on YouTube at, who knows, Google it. You know how YouTube works. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been and continue to be Cowboy Lieutenant First Class Tim Richardson, 32nd Mustang Brigade.
We're going to get into that later.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.